keys to the city, baby. When you see us, so you know you really viewing greatness in the making. Double up on facts we stating. Podcasting, cruise control, city, state, the nation. So what you saying, what we saying, prime information. Facts, keys to the city, we unlocking the statements.
Streaming every Friday.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Clovercrest Media presents Keys to the City, and look who we have back, the Joseph Aguirre. You know what that means, ladies and gentlemen, that baseball season is around. We got our baseball junkie. He likes to call himself a baseball junkie, but we'll get into that in a little while. We'll give him that title for now. But also, we are streaming on all social media platforms, as well as we just posted our NFL mock draft 2.0, Joe. So if you saw, we got a lot of comments. So go check it out at Keys to the City. I know Joe loves those mock drafts.
No, listen, I'm all right with mock. I'm all right with mock drafts now.
Yeah.
Now that things have settled and now we know what team needs are, now a mock draft makes so much more sense. But, right? I mean, let's be fair. You pretty much will know before the first day, like who the first 20 guys are going to be.
No, you don't.
You pretty much do. You pretty much will know by the time we get to the draft.
The only thing we know, Joe, is that Trevor Lawrence is going number 1 to Jackson.
Yes.
Anything else?
Dude, I'm hearing like Mac Jones at 3. I'm like, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody believed in Mac.
Well, it's not happening. Stop. That's nonsense, okay?
Justin Fields, baby. No, but we have all that to talk about.
And there's no guarantee that the Jets are going to take Justin Wilson.
Justin Wilson?
Who cares? Whatever. Listen, my mind is everywhere.
That's thinking baseball.
Well, we were just talking about baseball for the last half hour. We were doing pretty much a show for the last half hour. Now you start off with the draft. I'm just
Teddy, I think I called him Justin Wilson last time I was on.
Yeah, you did, Joe. You did too. I was with this with you guys. Who's Justin Wilson infatuation?
I mean, I just worked a double. I just got up like 45 minutes ago. I literally
have some slack.
I'll get rid of you, and me and Joe can do it. Want to do that?
Well, no one wants to look at that anymore. So, and it's weird seeing you in the top corner and Joe on the right side of me now. It's like you guys.
I know, you gotta get used to. Yeah, I'm taking control now. I've got.
Even when we were in the studio at CSP,
I'm the prodigy now.
Even when you were
son.
Hey, stop talking when I'm talking.
Shut it. The last time we talked baseball, we had a classic World Series that ultimately ended in the infamous Blake Snell game, taking him out early on in the 6th inning, and we had that big debacle. But it was a classic series between the two, yes, I'm going to say the two best teams at the time, the Tampa Bay Rays and the LA Dodgers. Well, tomorrow, it's a brand new season. Fans will be in the stadiums now. I think the Yankees are going to be 10,000 fans, I believe.
10,850. I just told you this. What's the matter? You can't remember the number? Jesus.
Yeah, just like you can't remember Zach Wilson's name. What was it? How many people?
10,850.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was off by 850. But yes, that is a good positive sign going forward that we are going to have fans and MLB games this year. So let's start off because we are Yankee fans. We're going to get into the LA Dodgers and that dominant rotation. And if anybody can contend in the NL with the LA Dodgers. But we got to start off, like I say, the New York Yankees. Every time we start off with baseball the past 3 or 4 years, it seems like it's been the same question. One of the most talented teams in baseball alongside the LA Dodgers. But the Dodgers finally got over the hump. We started asking questions, could they get over the hump and win a World Series? Well, they did. Now the question comes to the New York Yankees. The high-powered offense already dealing with a injury bug. Here we go with Luke Voigt's the first big name down. But can the Yankees finally get over the hump this season? They've had back-to-back 100-win seasons, but have had disappointing results and early exits in the MLB postseason. So, Ted or Joe, I'm going to start with whoever wants to join, who wants to come in. Will the Yankees finally get over the hump this year?
Joe, you go because you've been doing a lot more of the baseball stuff, so you'll give me more time to think.
Thanks, Daddy. Yeah, fair enough. I'm telling you, I think this is the best rotation the Yankees have had since, Roger Clemens and Andy Pettitte and Mike Mussina were in the same rotation. We were talking a little bit before the show. I expect Corey Kluber to make somewhere between 27 and 32 starts. whether he at some point needs a breather, some tightness somewhere midseason, misses a couple starts, that's fine. There's no reason to think that Corey Kluber won't return to form and pitch. Again, I don't necessarily mean he's going to be the Cy Young Award winner and win 20 games, but there's no reason why he won't be a solid number 2. The other big thing to remember, we didn't even talk about this in our pre-show meeting, was Luis Severino will be back come June, July. And
that's almost like a trade. That's like a trade deadline acquisition.
Right. And if you're concerned about James Talion, or you're concerned about Kluber and the injury bug, and God forbid anything to happen to Cole, don't forget Davy Garcia, the Yankees' number 1 prospect, who was obviously an impact guy last year and in the postseason, will be starting the season in the minors. And so he'll be first up. So if there are some issues, this Yankee team's got depth. The idea that they lose Luke Voit and they just shuffle in a Jay Bruce, hey, not bad.
And it's a lefty.
Yeah, again, right? It's almost the best case scenario. They got a power left-handed bat in the lineup all of a sudden, and now you can actually think about moving Hicks down in the lineup and not penciling him into that 3 spot. So it gives the Yankees some newfound flexibility. I think the Zach Britton and losing Tommy Kahnle, I think makes that Yankees bullpen a little
vulnerable?
Less. And I don't say vulnerable because, look, we got to see how these guys pitch. And the guys that are there can perform. Chapman's Chapman, right? Outside of the home runs late in the postseason, which we got to get that. We got to get him over that because that's been going on since 2016. That's definitely an issue. But, Zach Britton won't be out that long. There's been some other guys who have pitched really well. The lefty, LeGray, I think is his name. Who's looking? He'll be actually taking. He'll be taking Justin Wilson's spot. Who's going to start the year on the IL with some shoulder tenderness. Everyone loves Justin Wilson.
Hey, don't forget, Chapman starts. He's suspended for the first 2 games.
Oh, that's right. Again, the Yankees are just going to have to blow out the Jays in the first 2, I suppose.
And that's gonna. I mean, that starts off a true test tomorrow against a Jays team that really improved in the offseason. Added George Springer. You still have Vlad. You got Biggio. You got Bichette. You got a young talent. But we talked about in the pregame, it's that pitching staff that we get worried. Are the Jays the team that will give the most fits to the Yankees in the AL East, or is it still the Rays, or maybe even the Red Sox?
Well, don't forget the Jays also added Marcus Semien and George Springer.
Yes, I forgot about Marcus Semien.
Our Calvin Perez, but we know this, and we've talked about this yearly since we've done the show, that, the season is great. You can score a lot of runs, win a lot of games, but when it comes to making the playoffs and winning the postseason, your starting pitcher is going to have to be your, it's going to have to be your ace in the hole, literally and figuratively. So I think offensively, they would be able to stay with anyone in the entire MLB. That's the type of lineup I believe the Blue Jays will have. They'll score a lot of runs. They might score more runs than the Yankees. The problem is, will they give up as many runs on an annual basis to compound that record? And I could see them, and I'm not getting off subject, but I could see them winning like 85, 88 games. The difference of winning 90, 95 is because their pitching's probably going to lose 5 or 10 games. Also, I don't know how sure of their bullpen is. And I think a lot of people, as always, are always discrediting Tampa Bay. And listen, to think Tampa Bay is just going to falter after losing Blake Snell and
they lost a lot of pieces.
Charlie Morton. But listen, they've been losing pieces since we've known them. What, 98? Like every year they lose their best player. Evan Longoria, they lost. How are you going to regroup? You lose this guy. How are you going to regroup?
They're a 90-win team without even noticing.
Paul Crawford. I mean, they were in the World Series twice in the last 15 years. It's like more than the Yankees have been.
It's crazy to think because when we talk, it's crazy to think. Sorry, Ted. It's crazy to think because when you look at the NFC East, it's probably the worst division in football. But when you look at the AFC or MLB, you look at the American League East, it's probably the best division in baseball because I just named 4 teams. The Red Sox, we can't count out the Red Sox. I know the Red Sox had a terrible year last year, but let's see how they do. Let's see how Sale bounces back. Eduardo Rodriguez, who was out for the entire year last year because of COVID. They still have JD Martinez. They have some nice pieces there. They added Kiki
Bogarts, Devers. Listen,
they have Bogarts, Devers, who's a star. They have players. They traded for Benintendi though. So let's not count out the Red Sox in this AL East. I know we're going to talk. We talked about the Yankees, but this division is going to be extremely tough.
Well, here's the other thing. You got to also discredit last year's season. Well, last year was.
I don't think you should discredit it. It's more of a breakthrough that they made it all the way to the end.
What I mean by discredit, it was more for us and the fans in MLB just to save some revenue. So we got a 60-game season. We know that. It worked, okay? They got it through. They got a World Series, just like March Madness, just like the NFL. Everything is – listen, we have some hiccups, but we chugged the water and we got through the season and everything is going through. Now we're back to a normal 162-game regular season. Okay, there is no bubble. We'll see how everything plays.
Do you think there'll be any issues with that?
Listen, you're always going to have a couple hiccups. I think it's inevitable. Listen, if you're not a moron and if you watched any of the news, you can see that people now have been dying after having their second COVID shot. So because you're getting a lot of variants of the COVID, they just had the first person in Connecticut who died who already had taken their second shot. Trev, I don't even know if you saw our good friend Fitty, Chris Case. His mom's in the hospital after she already got a second shot. I mean, Gino got a positive test after having a second shot. Now, let's hope for good health for everyone. But listen, there's always an oops. There's an accident. You can see cases going up. I think we'll get through the baseball season. I don't know what the protocol is going forward. I don't know if it's a 10-day sit-out, 14-day, how will teams play it out. Because that could be a huge thing. You lose, if God forbid, let's use the Yankees, for example. What if Garrett Cole gets COVID, right? And he's out for 2 weeks. How will that play into effect with the rotation for those 2 weeks? How will that play with Garrett Cole going forward for the rest of the season? Because we saw how it affected some football players. They weren't the same. So, listen, I'm excited for the baseball season. As much as there hasn't been much talk about baseball, I'm excited to see baseball back now that, there really isn't anything interesting. I just want to see that the guys that we continue to talk about actually finally progress and play well. I want to see Stanton and Judge be on the field for more than 12 games a season. I want to see Gary Sanchez hit above 200. You know what I mean? I want to see the players that we expect to do well play well. You know what I mean? I think Torres started off really shaky. I use shaky. I could have used another word that was probably not polite, but he finished stronger. But listen, I'm hoping these guys now, with understanding what they have to put in, what they have to do, are ready to play. We're not fat and out of shape. We've gotten a little bit healthier. We're ready to go. And we're going to win 95 games, and we're going to win the NL East and be the number one seed. And, and the tournament comes through our stadium at Yankee Stadium. And in October, we're watching them play baseball against possibly the Dodgers.
Who would you say? Well, possibly. I don't see anybody in the NFL beating the Dodgers.
I do, but we won't get into that.
We'll get into that in a little, but we talked about the Yankees. We talk about it seems like every year we talk about the same players, the Judge, the Stantons, the Torreses, the Sanchez's, all those type of guys, same guys but if you had to think of for this team, who needs to step up for the Yankees to succeed? And when I say succeed, I mean bring home a championship. I'm not talking – this is year 3 now of Aaron Boone. It's year 4.
Oh, year 4, bro.
Yeah, and he hasn't gotten to one ALCS. When I talk about succeed, I'm not talking about just getting to the playoffs or getting to the ALCS. I'm talking about getting to a World Series and winning a World Series. Who would that be for you, Joe?
It's Aaron Judge.
Okay.
It's Aaron Judge all day long. I've said this the last 2 postseasons that the Yankees will go as far as Aaron Judge takes them. And I still think that's true. When you talk about who needs to step up, I mean, the easy answer would be Gary Sanchez. He can't play like garbage. But again, he's somebody that the Yankees could do without if need be. I mean, again, I floated a theory before the show that if he's not playing well by June, that at $6 million, that's an easy cut for the Yankees to make, or trade him for a pitching piece somewhere, whatever. It would be an easy cut for the Yankees to make. Aaron Judge is the heart and soul of this team. Aaron Judge plays great. The Yankees play great. If Aaron Judge has a huge postseason series, I can't see the Yankees losing that postseason series. So I think this team goes as far as he does. That said, I think the guy who really could be a big difference maker for the Yankees is Giancarlo Stanton. If this guy's healthy for 150 some odd games, forget about it.
That's what you stole my fire, but continue going, because I was just going to say, as much as you're 100% right about where this team goes will be based on Aaron Judge, what Giancarlo Stanton did in that playoffs last year at the end of the season showed that as bad as Judge played, he didn't play bad, but didn't have what we expected him, He carried them, and he can do that. We saw him do that with the Miami Marlins when he had that 6 home runs that season.
59 home runs.
So, listen, we're both right. I would have went with Stanton, but I understand the Judge thing. The only reason why I say Stanton is because of the money factor. And I think as much as we want to discredit, when you have a $300 million $300 million man, and you have a guy who hasn't really gotten the extension, we're both right because one wants the extension, but the one already has the money. And I think when you have the money, like A-Rod, there's more of a factor on you to produce because it's like, why did we trade for you, bro? At least we brought Judge up from the ground. Our plant was growing from ground up. You were already a plant that we took out of the ground and tried to move it to my house. So, and I think he's a tone setter. I really do, because I mean, just having him produce, I just think makes everything easier for everyone else. Because even if Judge doesn't hit that well, he still plays great defense. So he can help the team in so many other ways, and that's why I think Stanton is. But listen, we've talked about the three monsters. I mean, if they could stay healthy and play halfway decent, all three of those guys should hit 40 home runs. They all should hit around 280, and this team should win 100 games. And that's Sanchez, Judge, and Stanton.
So
and then
real quick, you could just to sort of build off what Teddy said. You're right. Again, let's not forget how much money Giancarlo Stanton makes. Mm-hmm. It's a lot. Yeah. The Yankees expect that guy again, right? You could make the comparison to Cole and Severino, right? Well, Severino's your homegrown ace. Well, we're paying Cole $37.5 million. That's the guy that has to deliver. That's the guy that has to step up and be a Cy Young candidate. If Sevy shows up in the second half and pitches lights out, that's a bonus, right? Yep. That'd be great. I think it's the same thing. And again, this comes down to dollars and cents, Teddy. You're 1,000,000% right about Stanton. This was an investment the Yankees chose to pursue.
And he just signed an extension.
Exactly.
He just signed a player's extension. So
this is huge. This guy's got to. You're exactly right. If the Yankees had signed him to a free agent contract of this monstrous size, the expectations from day one, Teddy, I think would have been a lot different. The idea that they got him via trade, the Marlins ate some of the money. I think sometimes people sort of forget how much this guy's on the books for. And yeah, he's got to be out there and he's got to deliver. And like you said, though, when this guy's in the lineup, they win, especially in the postseason. They win.
Trev, can I just say one thing and I'll let you continue with this conversation?
That's Joe's thing.
And the other reason why, here's the other thing. The reason why
Joe's line.
Well, here's the other reason, and I don't have the exact numbers or anything, but I know based on factual information that Judge has played in more games than Stanton has the last 2 seasons. Now, that's not saying a lot, but if it's, I think they played in 142 games total together, but I guarantee Stan's probably played in half the game that Judge has played in. So that's why I even say Stan because he's missed more time than Judge. And that's incredible to say because Judge has missed a ton of time the last 2 years. So, listen, both of them, I think the biggest key is for them to be healthy. I think if they're just healthy and they're on the field, they'll produce one way or another.
So I was going to go with Giancarlo Stanton, too, because the last time we saw him, he was carrying the offense to almost a Game 5 and an ALCS appearance. But I'm going to go with another guy. And it's a guy that is – I think this is a make-or-break year. We talk about make-or-break year for Daniel Jones. This is a make-or-break year for Gleyber Torres. The reason why I say I know he's only 24 years old. And you think, oh, wow, he's got plenty of years to go. Well, the reason why, if he struggles, not even at the bat, because we know what he can do offensively. He's one of the better younger players in this entire game, probably in the top 5, you would say. It's about his fielding. And we talked about this a lot, just like with Gary Sanchez. His fielding at shortstop is a huge concern. And if he struggles again, what do the Yankees decide to do with him? Do they
story?
And I said, hold on. And I said this to Joe before the show. The Yankees have a tough situation. I know their outfield it seems like entire roster full of outfielders, but it's their infield that is more difficult because you have a great third baseman with Gio, who's a great Gold Glove third baseman, has some pop, can get some clutch hits. Then you got Gleyber, who is a young star in this game. Then you got DJ, who's probably the best utility guy in the entire game. Then you got Voit, who is a very good first baseman, one of the better power first base hitters in this game. So the Yankees have a tough situation knowing that if Gleyber struggles again or defensively, what do they figure out? Knowing as well that next free agency class, if you looked at the shortstop class, wow, there is a plethora of talent in that shortstop class, including maybe a Francisco Lindor availability too. So that's why I say Gleyber Torres. I know Judge 100% agree. Stanton, I would have said Stanton as well. But Gleyber Torres, there's a lot of pressure on him to succeed because he can't start off slow again like he did last year. We thought he was going to come in and have his outbreak season, which he didn't. This year, it's time. I know you're 24 years old, but if you struggle again at shortstop, the Yankees are going to have to figure out the issues going forward.
Trevor, you can put Gleyber for your boy Trevor Story.
I hope the Yankees go after Trevor Story.
Hey, quick question, Joe, quick question for you. What's been going on with our other third baseman that we thought was going to be the next incumbent?
Miguel Lindor, he's non-existent.
He's just kind of there, dude. I don't know.
He's literally at an all-time low right now.
Yeah. It's shocking to think this guy was almost rookie of the year a couple of years ago and is basically a non-factor. I did see him play third base a week ago or so.
We were thinking 2 years ago. We were thinking that year. We were thinking, and Duhar and Torres, we got our third and short for the next 12 years. And boy, oh boy, we could be by this year.
Well, here's the other interesting thing. I've seen a lot of people, the scenario where they're like, get rid of Voit or get rid of Urshela and move this guy and move that guy, put Gleyber back at second. I'll remind everybody how bad Gleyber was at second. Whether it
wasn't any better.
Dude, yeah, it was not graceful. I mean, I remember in 2018 thinking defensively, everybody was talking about how bad Andujar was. I was like, look at Gleyber. What are you talking about? I think Andujar over Gleyber. Yeah,
hey guys, we should just be like these Yankee fans, like I sent you last night. Just trade Aaron Hicks for Ronald Acuna. Everything's solved. Or let's just
perfect. Yeah,
let's just trade Stanton and send Stanton and Judge to LA for Mike Trout.
I do think. Teddy, Trevor and I were talking a little bit earlier, and I did float the idea that if it becomes apparent to the Yankees that Gleyber Torres, and the messed up part is he is a shortstop. This has been his primary position, other than the couple years he played second for the Yankees. He's a shortstop. And if you've determined that this guy's not defensively good enough, and Trev, his bat's going to bounce back. I think the COVID and all that. So. I think, listen, also don't forget, as a kid, he's played 2 extremely long seasons, postseason and all that. So 2020 I'll throw that one out the window on Gleyber. I'll expect him to hit around 335 home runs. That part I'm not worried about. It's the defense.
Yeah. Your shortstop can't be a weak link.
Correct. And especially on a team like the Yankees, where defense isn't necessarily their biggest thing.
It's never.
It's never been. Nobody's there for their glove anyway, and that's a problem. So I do think you're looking at a scenario.
Yeah, but Gio got some pop. Gio's got pop, and he's clutch hitter. He's a clutch hitter.
That's the whole thing with Gio, and I said this too to your brother. Look, I think if Gio, and I've seen a lot of people suggest this might not be the guy we've seen the last couple of years. That he may revert back to. A 230.
Yeah, but we did say that. We said that last year too.
Again, let's pray and let's hope that he continues to play and perform at that.
He can play Gold Glove third base. I can live with that because if anyone remembers Yankees, Scott Brosius wasn't the best hitter either. He batted like 235 when he was playing for the Yankees and only had about 6 home runs. But you know what? Any ground ball or little bunt, he picked it up and scooped it with rocket throw to first base. And he was a phenomenal third baseman. Listen,
sure, if you're a plus defensive player with a decent bat, there's a spot for you. But you're talking about a scenario here where, listen, if the Yankees do have to move Gleyber to second and LeMahieu naturally moves to third and maybe you pencil in a Lindor or a Story or somebody like that at shortstop.
They did put Gio at shortstop for a couple games in spring training, just in case if situations did occur where you had to. Listen, you got to always be prepared for a what if. You know what I mean?
It's good to have a guy like LeMahieu who can play anywhere on the field.
Well, and Tyler
if you do have a situation like you just said where Gio goes to short, you could just put Gleyber to second, and then you could put DJ at third. And at times, that could, I guess, solve the problem at times, but it's not going to solve it for the long term. So, I mean,
which again is why I think long term, this is when we talk about what a big year this is for Sanchez, as far as whether he has a future with
his team. It's just as big as for Gleyber.
Yes, I think Gleyber is looking at a very similar situation where this is you made the comparison to Daniel Jones. Yeah, this is the year where you got to show us you can do it all and you're the guy. And maybe the Yankees will sign him long-term sooner rather than later.
Yeah, because now he's going to have a full season. It's not a shortened season. Just like Daniel Jones will have all the weapons to surround. Now it's the time. This is your time. And if you can't come up in the big moments for us or clutch or help us out in key moments, then sorry, we got to figure out a plan moving forward.
I do think Francisco Lindor is hesitant to sign with the Mets long term because he's wondering about the possibility of that spot opening up across town. I firmly believe that's a factor here, that he is wondering if there's a way to be on the Yankees. He's a Yankee fan, Lindor.
You saw.
Let's get into the NL then.
Joe, before you say this question, Joe, you saw the Mets offered Lindor about 10 years, $325.
Great money.
That. Now, Did you see Alonso? Pete Alonso said, he goes, the Mets should pay him
$400 million.
That's malarkey, bro. That's like
imagine declining $325 million.
400. Listen, we talked about this before. No players are worth that, but we know what the market is. But that's just called driving the revenue up, meaning everyone else. Because like whoever's going to be a shortstop next year is going to be like, wait, I want to make more than Francisco Lindor. You know what I mean? Some guys. I mean, listen, Trevor, you were joking when we talked about the Dak contract when it was like Dak wants close to what Mahomes is getting. Now, he didn't get that type of money, but, I mean, he did pretty well for himself, at least in guarantees. But, Joe, you really think Lindor's thinking about moving across Chi-Town into North Haven? I meant to North Haven.
Oh, my
yeah.
God. Yeah, he's coming to North Haven.
Why don't you?
If they're at 10 years, 325 in a weird economy, in a weird market, yeah.
Would Cohen go up to the asking price? I could see Cohen because Cohen is going to try
Yankees are not going to
be like, look, we need to keep this guy. This guy's a star.
Well, Cohen went on Twitter. This guy's such a jackass. He's so stupid. He goes online and he's like tweeting with the fans, and they're like, "Sign him, you idiot!" And he's like, "I'm trying." I mean, this guy's got the money to do it.
He's the only one that didn't lose money last year.
Again, it just seems to me that if Lindor wanted to be there, like if he was like, I want to be a Met, I've always wanted to be a Met, they'd find some happy spot, 10 years, 3, 40, 50, whatever it's got to be, and they'd get it done.
25 is more than enough.
It is. What does he want?
I don't know what he wants.
385. 385.
385. So you're telling me Cohen couldn't come back and be like, how about 360? And it's a done deal.
How about 325? You deal with it, bro.
How about just give me a damn million?
Sure. Again, if he really wanted to be there, he would have
fine.
Already signed the extension.
But
He's looking at all of these other factors. And again, what's the most desirable position in baseball? It's shortstop on the Yankees. It's like what every kid dreams of from anywhere USA to anywhere around the world. Kids dream of playing shortstop for the Yankees. I mean, it's a dream job.
Joe, it used to be center field, though.
Yes, it did.
Everyone wanted to be the Mick. Everyone wanted to be Joe D. Everyone wanted to be Bernie Williams.
Let's get into the NL. Let's get into the. We just talked about the Yankees, and I know we didn't really get into the AL, but I think it's the Yankees AL too. We'll get into predictions. So let me get into the NL, and the main question is, who's stopping the champs in the NL? Who's stopping the champs in baseball right now? They have to be the odds-on favorite to repeat and be the first team to do it since those New York Yankees. So, I mean, you look at this team from top to bottom, offensively, pitching staff, a solid bullpen. You add David Price into that bullpen now, and then you got the 1, 2, 3 of Kershaw, the Cy Young winner Trevor Bauer, and Walker Buehler. I mean, come on. This team is just stacked and should be in contention to maybe break the 116-win season this season. I know it's not going to happen, but they should be in contention because that's how talented this Dodgers team is. And it's kind of like the Nets team. There's no way I see anybody in the NL beating the Dodgers this year. So teams that I would come to 3 teams I would say that come to mind. If you want to go 4, you go with the Nationals, you go with the Padres, you go with the Mets, and then you go with the Braves. Those would be the 4 teams you would have to say. But I don't see anybody stopping this team, guys.
That's funny you say that because I didn't know how you were going to say 1, 2, 3, or 4 teams if you were going to mention them. Because the reason why I say that, Trev, is because the Mets can match them pitching for pitching. When Syndergaard comes back, you're going to have Syndergaard.
Syndergaard. I like it, Syndergaard.
Well, it's a combination. Did you hear about him?
That's a dominant
Raptor, and we call it. I don't know.
What the hell are you talking about, Justin Wilson?
I have no idea. But I hope people are laughing at me because that's what makes this fun.
Everybody's laughing at you.
Okay. Yeah, normally. So you'll have Stroman 2 as your number 3. The Mets could have the pitching rotation, and now with Lindor in their lineup, they could at least have a good enough lineup to compete with the Dodgers. Then you got the Padres. We talked about the Padres. They made a lot of moves. They brought in Blake Snell. They have a lot of great young talent. Even though they got beat in the 2 games against the Dodgers in the wild card last year, I think they have the team to compete against. But the team I think that has the best chance is the Braves, bro. I was looking. I got the roster in front of me. That's why I'm probably looking down. They're going to have their ace back. Mike Sikora? Is that how you say his name, gentlemen? Okay,
yeah,
he was out
last year.
He was out last year. Okay, he was an 18-game winner. They also made a trade for Charlie Morin. And they have Drew Smiley, Ian Anderson, and Max Fried. All good young pitchers that all can win 15 to 20 games. Then you look at their offensive lineup. Okay? Also, Trev, they brought in Will Hill, nice closer from the Athletics. But so you look at their catchers, Travis Denard, Freddie Freeman, Jose Albies, all could be MVP.
Let's not forget, this team was up 3-1 against the Dodgers in the NLCS.
Exactly. Ozuna, okay, Ronald Acuna, who might be the best player in the NL. This team had the Dodgers. All they had to do was push them off the ledge. And they said, nah, it's like Scorpion in Mortal Kombat. Come here. And then they got killed, and they lost. All they had to do was take the fatality hit, and they didn't do it. This Braves team, they've been so close the last couple of years. You know, sometimes when you have like a bad loss, you're so motivated. I think something like what happened with the Yankees last year. I think I could see a Yankees-Braves World Series.
We said that about 3 years for the Yankees now?
Well, because we're Yankee fans, we're a little biased.
We said that for 3 years for the Yankees.
Well, what are we supposed to say?
What do you think?
Again, I kind of want to build off. I like what Teddy was saying. Look, if you're the Braves, you're up 3-1, and Mike Soroka is healthy for you last year, you probably close that series out, and we're not even talking about how good the Dodgers are. You look at the Yankees, the last 2 years, think about what Domingo Germán would have meant to the Yankees pitching staffs the last 2 years. Davey Garcia would not have started Game 2 of the American League Division Series.
No,
that would have been Domingo Germán. And so, you look at
Severino or Severino.
Absolutely. Which is why when that whole dust up with Britain and he had to and the fans were like, he doesn't have to apologize. Oh, he does. He does. Not for the domestic violence. That's his personal life. But for the fact that the Yankees desperately needed one more starter each of the last 2 years, and he was the guy that was like the glaring omission. Severino was out with injury. He was out because he's an idiot. And that's the difference. And that's, to me, that's unforgivable, where these teammates got to be like, yeah, dumbass, you killed us last year. My God, what a difference it would have made. So, yeah, listen, I love the Braves. Christian Pacey, their rookie center fielder, I think is a dark horse candidate to be Rookie of the Year. My Braves fans, buddies are telling me, watch out for this guy. Again, you look at Freeman.
Is the difference maker for this whole NL the addition of Trevor Bauer? I just think adding him off his best season and is one of the better pitchers in baseball, winning a Cy Young, going to a team that really didn't need another pitcher like that, but to get him on a cheap deal, not a very cheap, it's not a bad deal either. They get him
just money.
It's just a little money, but it's only
$3. Dodgers have tons of money.
That's why I say the Dodgers. This probably is the difference maker that probably gets the Dodgers easily to the World Series because you already look at their offense.
Can I ask you a question, Trev?
Yeah.
So can I ask you a question? And I don't know if it's a positive or negative, but because of how good the NL East is, okay, the Marlins are not going to be crappy. They made the playoffs last year. They won. They won the play-in game, all right? The Marlins were no joke.
Yeah, let's not forget about that.
Do you think that hurts or helps the winner of that division, if it is the Braves, because on a weekly basis, the 5 teams in your division are all caliber playoff teams, where the Dodgers are going to be coasting against the Rockies and the Giants, and their only tough and the Diamondbacks, and their only tough matchup is going to be when they play the Padres.
I think any time in any sport that you can play in a division where it's competitive and you go against some of the better teams in that conference, you learn a lot from who you are as a team and who you are as against your opponents. Where the Dodgers, they go against a Padres team who's going to be in contention as one of the top 5 teams this year. They're just that damn good, and they should be. But you see like the Mets and even the Marlins, who a lot of people think are going to be horrible. I mean, this was a playoff team. They went to the playoffs. They played the Braves in the divisional round. So let's just not discredit it. All 5 teams have the capability of, maybe it's because of the shortened season, but I would say the reason why having a division that's tougher, that you beat the crap out of each other, it helps you. It learns who you are as a team and how you play against the better teams in your
conference. Could that wear you down?
You want to have the tougher competition.
Yeah, but could that wear you down?
You don't want to be – it could wear you down, but you don't want to be having to play against the Rockies or the Diamondbacks, the Giants, all 3 teams that are going to be really bad. You're going to be, well, that's coast through. Let's just go right through the division like that. Then you play a team like the Nationals or the Braves, and they punch you in the mouth, and you're like, oh, snap. We haven't been used to this all year. Or the Mets or somebody's like, yeah, we've been dealing with it. We're Rocky Balboa. We're going to keep coming at you because we've been dealing with it all year. Joe, what do you think?
Listen, the Dodgers to me are just too good. I think in a 7-game series, all you can hope for is that they don't hit and that maybe the pitching isn't
just don't show up
because otherwise you're donezo. There are 5 Cy Young awards in that clubhouse amongst 3 guys. One of them won't even be in the rotation if you can believe that. Walker Buehler's a guy who will win one in his career.
David Price won one. Yep.
And don't forget, Josiah Gray, the number 2 prospect for the Dodgers, is their starter of the future. So, I mean, they could conceivably lose Kershaw for the year. Price could pitch out of the bullpen this year, and that rotation won't skip a beat. You talked about how good that bullpen is, how good their lineup is. When you
know what this Dodgers team reminds me of?
Yeah,
they remind me of the Gonzaga Bulldogs. They're so deep and talented that they have to not literally show up to not win. Now, I don't know how they would fare against the Yankees because the Yankees match up with their star power, and hopefully that pitching staff can compete to where we expect them to. But
this reminds me of
you look at the NL. Hold on. You look at the NL. You put them against anybody on paper. They're by far. And that even means the Padres too. They're by far the best team. It's like they can't show up, or they have a bad pitching game, or they just don't hit at all. It's like the Gonzaga Bulldogs. If they have a bad day, that's
one argument I can have about that, Trev, is the Dodgers have superstars on the team. The Gonzaga players don't have superstars. Now I know. Listen. I'm not talking basketball, but Drew Timme is unbelievable for Gonzaga, and the kid Suggs is going to be a top 10 pick. He's tremendous. But what I'm saying is, if you were going to relate this to college, you would talk about the 1991 UNLV running Rebels when they had Larry Johnson, Greg Anthony, and I forget some of the other. But you're talking about a team that comes back that has star power all over it. You know what I mean? Like the Duke Blue Devils in 1999 with Trajan Langdon and Elton Brand and Corey Maggette. And when you're bringing out 3, 4, 5 first-round picks, and you're talking about veteran guys too. Listen, I mean, think about this. You got Corey Bellinger and Mookie Betts in the outfield. I mean, there's Corey Seager. Those 3 guys right there could be MVP candidates. Here's your 3 MVPs with Justin Turner. I mean, and the starting pitching. Now the bullpen.
You name it all. It's just like you're gonna have to play your A game, especially when it comes to the postseason.
Hey, is this
A game against this team?
It's like the best
team. You just knew that Red Sox team back a couple years ago was destined to win. They were the best team all year for maybe other than a week in baseball. They were the best team that year, also led by Mookie Betts. By far, maybe the only team that was going to give them competition that year was the New York Yankees.
Joe, is this the best roster you've seen put together in some time? And I'm only asking you.
I think with the addition of Trevor Bauer, that makes it.
I'm not asking you.
Oh, sorry.
I'm not asking you. I'm asking Joe, who's got a little bit more seniority on us and can go back a little bit longer and say, okay, based off. And he also a little bit more follows baseball than us on a daily basis. So that's why I'm asking this.
Baseball? What are you talking about, Willis?
Listen, I'll tell you, I think when you look at the depth of the rotation, when you look at the depth of the starting lineup and the bench and the bullpen, yeah, I mean, I don't know that there's ever been a baseball team this stacked, literally ever. I mean, that's how good and how deep it is. Again, where David Price, a Cy Young Award winner, probably won't make a start for them this year, barring maybe 2 or 3 guys getting hurt and having to miss starts. The idea that they contemplated not bringing Justin Turner back for a while, it's like, really? They don't even need that guy. And they brought him back anyway. So yeah, this is a team that, I mean, on paper, there's no flaws. And the worst thing you could say about them is that Clayton Kershaw gets hurt a lot and then comes back and pitches like the ace that he is.
Guess what? David Price, come on in.
Right. So again, like there's not a real weakness here. Even Dave Roberts has emerged, I think, as one of the best managers in all of baseball. This is a guy who doesn't, you don't see Dave Roberts, who replaced Don Mattingly, who, as you guys know, we all love Donnie baseball. He did not understand the National League rules. The double switches tended to get Donnie in some trouble. This guy knows his stuff. He knows his team. They trust in him. He trusts in them. And again, you look at the talent on this roster. I can honestly tell you in my entire life, I've never seen a team with this kind of depth in all 3 areas. It's honestly mind-blowing. And to me, the only thing that could go wrong for the Dodgers is multiple injuries. Maybe Mookie Betts and
Bellinger both going down with like major.
Yeah, they run into each other on a collision and they're out for the season. I mean, you would need like comical scenarios to me for this Dodgers team not to probably win at least 108 to 112 games.
Well, let's get into the teams, the darlings. It seems like that everybody really likes this year. The Mets, the White Sox, and the Padres. Those are 3 of the teams. I'm not going to say the Braves. I'm not going to say the
National. Why the White Sox?
Because I've seen the White Sox as one of the darlings of the AL, maybe the team that can compete for an AL championship. I think the loss of Jimenez is huge, though. Losing him in the offense is going to be a huge loss for that team. But this team's very talented. They're one of the darlings in the AL. The Mets, for obvious reasons, going to get Lindor. You get Syndergaard back. You add your good pieces in that offensive lineup.
Watch out for the A's.
Who it seems like everybody, it was like all of a sudden the San Diego Padres. I mean, 2 years ago we're thinking, oh, Manny Machado, why did he go to the Padres? Well, 2 years later, look at the freaking Padres now. We're saying, well, Machado made, I think, a good decision, huh? I think he's the one that made the good decision, and Harper didn't make it with the going to the Phillies. What do you expect from these 3 teams if you had to say, Joe?
To me, the White Sox are the team that I think this year will probably be the best of the 3.
No, really?
Okay. I say that only because I think if you're the Padres, and again, look, I think the Padres, like the Yankees a few years ago, I think they got really good really fast. And I unfortunately think this year there might be a little bit of a tiny bit of a step back for them as a team. Okay. Again, you Darvish and Blake Snell 1-2, that could be phenomenal, or that could be mediocre. So again, you got to factor that in. We talked before the show about Chris Paddock being in the 5 spot right now, but already Danielson Lamet is going to miss the first few starts. So now you're already moving guys forward into the you're putting your 4 into your 3 and you know what I mean? So already I don't like that. I still think this team is young. I think they have great energy. I think the success of last year might hurt them a little bit. That there almost might be an expectation that you're just going to get through. Again, you're probably going to be behind the Dodgers by the end of May by 10 games, and it'll be that way for most of the rest of the season. And let's be honest, guys, fighting for a wild card's fun, but doesn't it take some of the sting out if you're 14 games back and it feels like an insurmountable thing? It could start to have a psychological effect on you. So I think just from a competition standpoint, San Diego's not a shoe-in to win a wild card. I've got them going. I think they'll make
all 3 of these teams going to the playoffs?
I don't have the Mets going. And I'll get to the Mets in a second. For me, the White Sox, I think they've got the pitching. They've got a good – you added a guy like Lance Lynn to Giolito and Keuchel. They got a pretty good bullpen over there. That lineup, I mean, you're talking about the American League MVP in Jose Abreu. Everybody loves Tim Anderson. Louis Robert
I love that. He's a star in the making.
But right, Adam Eaton. I mean, this team's got depth. They've got gritty veterans. They've got a 400-year-old manager, Connie Mack. Glad he's back. I'm sorry, Tony La Russa. You know, I tell you, you know, when I first saw that hire, I thought I don't love that, and now the more I think about it, I kind of do. And to hear Tim Anderson and some of the guys talk about how much they love Tony La Russa, how bought in they are to the system, I feel like the White Sox, they're going to probably win the American League Central. I think that's going to happen.
No, they're not.
So to me, I think they're you could be right. I think they've got the easiest path to the playoffs of the teams on the list. Again, for me, the Padres are going to be fighting with the Mets, with a lot of teams for that wild card. I think the White Sox are a little more a direct route to the postseason. For me, for the Mets, look, they're a good team. They've got vastly better, but it's the Mets. The Mets will find a way to mess this up. I know they will. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but it's going to be something, and it's going to be spectacular.
So I'll make this real quick. So the Padres are making the playoffs. They're going to be the wild card. And listen, they're the second best team in the NL. Maybe, well, I don't know. I like the Braves a lot, so maybe the second or third. But like you said, if you start realizing that you're 10 games or 8 games behind the Dodgers in May or June, are you really going to push the envelope to try to win the division where you're like, hey, listen, let's just win our games, do what we have to do. We're not going to catch them. Let's not try to overdo it, you know. Listen, making the playoffs is still good. If you don't want to go too hard, you know, and how would I say, a volcano.
What are you trying to get at? What the hell are you trying to get at right now?
Something I can't say.
Where you're going with this one?
You don't want to shoot too early. So.
Oh my God! Don't shoot. Don't shoot. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I got you.
The volcano. But Joe, I was just reading about on that.
You're a sicko.
538 thing. So the White Sox, they picked up Liam Hendricks to their pen, but they lost James McCann as a catcher. So and they were saying teams that usually take a step up in one year usually take a step down the following year. So I still think the Twins are the class of that division. They
did replace. By the way, they replaced McCann with Yasmani Grandal. So
not bad. The Dodgers.
They had Grandal. They had both McCann and Grandal, right?
Yeah.
And drove McCann, and McCann went to the Mets.
Correct. Yes. So now Grandal's
one of the better catchers in the game.
I still think the Twins. I mean, they sign how do you say it, Trevor? Andrelton Simmons, the shortstop from the Angels. So listen, I think the Angels. Watch out for the Angels this year, baby.
Oh boy, he said the Angels, Joe. He said the Angels.
They're going to win the wild card. White Sox not making the playoffs.
Yeah, with Dylan Bundy as his number one.
Listen, I'll tell you, watch out for the A's. The A's every year, we knock on them, and next thing you know, you look at the Rays. So, listen, I think maybe the Angels get the wild card this year with the Rays.
All right.
Twins,
my second wild card is the A's coming out of the American League.
And Trev, I'll tell you this: I would like to see the Mets succeed. Okay, for a lot of people that I'm friends with that are Mets fans, I just look at that division and going, are they good enough to beat the Nationals? Are they good enough to beat the Phillies? Are they good enough to beat the Braves on a consistent basis? One game, we know how it works. March Madness tournament. You get an 11 seed beating a 1 seed. 3 out of 5, 5 out of 7. Are they good enough? I don't think so. The story since I've been alive for 33 years is the Mets will find a way to blow it in the ninth. And not figuratively in the ninth, but they'll find a way where think about the years where they were up by 5-7 games in September and they blew it. They didn't even. That's the Mets story. And I don't.
They're like the Jets.
Who's their manager? I mean, and I'm not saying that like who's their, but like who's their leader, right? Is Pete Alonso going to be their first baseman, which is a deficiency? If they listen, I'll put it this way. I think if baseball can come to an agreement and somehow get the universal DH, which is best for baseball, okay? Because I don't want my $37 million pitcher running down the line or having to worry about getting hit in the hand. Sorry. If the Mets can move Pete Alonso to DH and I forget who their left fielder is.
Dominic Smith.
And move him to first base, who's a much better defensive first baseman to the Mets. I think that increases the Mets lineup and makes them a better potent offense, which will allow them to succeed. I think if you have to play that game where, like, do I play the defensive guy? Because you're going to have Alonso in the lineup. Okay, and I think the biggest thing is, will Alonso bring back what he was his rookie season, 50 home runs and bat, where he's not like playing like Gary Sanchez, where we're like, who is this guy? Where is he?
Well, let's not also, they could probably have depending on this whole Lindor situation, hopefully that doesn't linger into a.
It's free linger. Play baseball, because if you saw Anthony,
but you know that it's going to be. You know that it's going to be a talking point for them. It's going to be on their mind because he's not going to accept the deal right now. So unless some breaking news.
You saw Anthony Rizzo, right? He said no more contract talks. Baseball's on. We'll talk in the offseason.
That's what they should do. That's what they 100% should do. I see all. I mean, I'll get into my division winners at the end when we do a World Series and all that stuff. But right before we get into that, let's do a bold prediction. Joe, you said you got a prediction. Let's hear it.
My bold prediction is Giancarlo Stanton wins the MVP, plays 155 games, hits 48 home runs, drives in 135 runs, and just is.
What is this, A-Rod season?
Hold on. You go with Stanton, even though the guy who you need to succeed for the Yankees, you pick Judge.
He's the most, because I know what Joe was saying. He's the most important for the Yankees to be successful, which Stanton
doesn't play defense. And that's hurt players going forward of not playing defense. If he's playing 130 games as a DH,
dude, he hits 60 home runs.
What did I just say? I said if this guy plays 150 games, hits 48 home runs. I mean, dude, it's gonna be because it's not gonna just be 48 home runs. It's gonna be 48 moonshots at 144 miles an hour, on the Stratocaster machine. And we're going to be watching them every night. Like, look at another Stanton. This one was 136.8. We're going to go nuts for those home runs. So it's going to be the way that he does it that's going to help him. Now, listen.
Mike Trout is winning the MVP, Joe.
Slow down.
He's the best player in baseball. He does everything great.
Bro, when we get to our actual picks, I've got Trout winning MVP. You asked for a bold prediction. This is a bold prediction. There's a lot of ifs on this bad boy. I'm not saying I think it's going to happen, but if it did, this is how. Again, I think this guy's got the potential to, and I'm serious when I say this. Think about when Barry Bonds was hitting home runs, right? And ESPN constantly would cut to it. No matter what was happening, they were like, screw this for a minute. Let's go to Candlestick where Barry's about to put another one in the lake. And that's what it was. Giancarlo Stanton, again, coming off such a good postseason, and we know what he could do when he's healthy. This sport is so desperate for a star that would embrace the limelight, which I think is the other big knock on Mike Trout.
Well, I think you could say that Fernando Tatis has emerged as maybe that face of baseball. He's electric.
But again, nobody should have had the opportunity to be the face of baseball because Trout should have ate that up. But he doesn't want to be the face of anything. And so it opened up that opportunity. I think Giancarlo Stanton could captivate this country this summer, hitting moonshot after moonshot. I'm telling you, ESPN would be cutting in. So
this has become not the bold prediction. This has become the boldest prediction. Now he's talking.
But again, he
also he's gonna. Joe, let's just bring back.
Bro, more likely
the country for moonshots.
More likely he plays 70 games and hits 8 home runs this year.
Listen, your bold prediction should have just stopped that he played at 150 games. But if you do remember,
all right. So Ted, what is your bold prediction?
Listen, and I just want
a bold prediction.
Shut up for a second. Didn't Stan start out really well in April last year before he got hurt? Didn't he have a good start to the season?
Yeah, he definitely did. Yeah, it was like a good 5 games.
Yeah, remember? We were like,
yeah.
He played 5 games.
5 very good games, though.
5 very good games. Remember, Joe, Trev, you and me were sending Joe messages. We're like, MVP, here he comes. Next, hurt. See you later.
Oh, my favorite.
That's the worst part, too, is I think he had a couple hits in the game, and then it was like, oh, he's going to be out tomorrow. It's like, all right, that's not bad.
My favorite's always just the Gary Sanchez argument. That's always my favorite. That's the
I love Gary Sanchez. I don't want to beat the drum again. Look, bottom line is if the guy can't produce, I'm telling you, I think he's on a leash, and I think that leash by June, if he's not playing well, Gary Sanchez will no longer be with the Yankees.
Do we have any
he can't be he can't be in such an important position and be the most obvious glaring problem. And at just $6 million, dude, again, that's money that a Steinbrenner could eat for lunch.
That's true.
That's not a lot of money. That's the only reason they tendered him that contract. They told him he's got to prove it. He came out, looked great, and now he looks like garbage again. And if it's going to be that, I love the guy, but I'm more than willing to move on from him. If this hasn't been solved, then it's a problem, and the Yankees will need to address it because I think they need a quality catcher behind the plate. Bottom line, and if it can't be him, I hate to say it, but move on.
Ted, what's your bold prediction?
Remember last year? I think I was right. I said
you make this so difficult.
Remember I said I wasn't thinking bold prediction. I don't know.
You never think. That's your problem.
My joke was going to be Mike Trout doesn't win MVP. That was going to be my bold prediction.
Last year.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, Yankees win 100 games. I mean, people would say that's not a bold prediction. I think it is a bold prediction because that means people were healthy, they played well, because when's the last time did the Yankees win 100 games last year?
Yeah, back-to-back years they won 100.
No, they didn't win 100 last year because there wasn't enough games.
It was only 60 games.
They have won 100 in every full season.
I was going to say something stupid to be funny. I was going to say something stupid like the Angels are going to trade Mike Trout.
That would be
because they realize their team is tanking and they need every prospect in their month.
Maybe that Judge Stanton for Acuna trade that Yankees were talking about.
Gary Sanchez wins comeback player of the year.
Okay. We got Joe laughing at that one now. A year ago, celebrating.
Because I mean, right now, honestly, and watching the way the guy's been playing the last couple of weeks, I was optimistic that whatever he did in the offseason, dude, look, a 28-year-old guy going to play winter ball should tell you a lot about his work ethic and his character. The idea that he was like, no rest, no family time. I got to start hitting. I got to get better. Played winter ball again, got off to a good start, leveled right off. Gets his spring training, hit the cover off the ball, making some plays behind the plate, falls off the map again.
He'll go down as one of the biggest wasted talent for the Yankees. If Joe's prediction of earlier were he's hitting 179 or 212 with 10 home runs in June, it's all right, dude, this ain't cutting it for us, bro. We could get this from Joe Schmo down the street and Kyle Ishikawa and whoever else we got on the back burner, okay? I'd rather have one of those guys. They'll give us better defense or whatever.
I heard Joe's league's looking for players. Maybe they can always call Gary.
We talked about this. He can't hit the curveball. It's like Pedro Serrano in Major League. We should have got him a full chicken.
So here's my bold prediction. I'm gonna go Juan Soto's gonna hit for the Triple Crown this year.
Oh my God! Last year you had him winning the MVP. Oh, we're doing the whole league. I thought we were just doing AL. Oh crap! I would have made up something good.
Well, that's why you don't pay attention. You're done.
That's because you're leading the show.
You're off the team. You're off the team.
When Joe's leading the team, I follow his lead. When you're leading the team, I just do what I want. It's like when the substitute teacher's in. The substitute teacher's in. I do whatever I want. We don't follow the rules. Do we have homework? No. Throw the papers around. Who cares? I don't know.
So what's your bold prediction then for everybody? Then I'll give you the floor. So I had
Ronald Acuna wins MVP in the NL.
That's not bold.
With a 40-40 season.
I was actually going to say that too, 40-40, because I think he's been close. I don't think he's had.
I think Soto goes 46, 140 RBIs, and bats 348, and wins Triple Crown.
How about Trev? This would be a bold prediction. The Dodgers don't win the division.
That would be a bold prediction because they are an odds-on favorite. Or how about not winning the NL? Would be bold. So speaking of that.
Oh, you want more bold? How about they don't win the division? The Rockies do.
Yeah, okay. Well, that would be
Let's Trevor's
You want bold? That's bold.
If Trevor Story hits like 500 home runs, maybe they'll have a shot. Maybe.
Dude, real quick, imagine being a Colorado Rockies fan, though, this year, knowing that they're probably going to move Trevor Story shortly, and your favorite player, Nolan Arenado's a Cardinal. You're like,
they can't sign him. They can't sign him.
They can.
No, I just looked at a report. They don't have enough. They're not going to have enough money to sign it.
Listen,
stop that with that. They don't have the money. They do have the money. I just tell you one thing. It's got to be more disappointing to be a Rockies fan to have all those guys that come through the teams. I think the only guy that ever stayed there was Todd Helton. I mean,
they're like the Houston Texans. Like the Houston Texans. They have all great talent. They just waste it.
Nah, that's worse. We don't care about the Texans. So let's get on to what we're talking about, leader of the pack. Come on, coach.
Yeah, leader of the pack. All right, so let's start off with our MVP predictions and Cy Young, and then you have your division winner. Do you know who you have for doing?
Yeah,
we'll do division winners. Don't give an explanation, and then we'll pick our World Series and World Series winners, and we'll get to that. So let's start off with the NL MVP. Ted, the floor is yours.
I think it's either Ronald Acuna or Freddie Freeman. So I'm gonna go two guys in the Braves. Yeah, I just think.
You say he's gonna repeat?
He didn't win the MVP last year.
Freddie Freeman was the one that won MVP actually last year. Now that I remember you saying it, he won MVP.
Mookie Betts.
Freddie Freeman won MVP last year.
No, he did not.
Joe.
Yeah, I think when we were talking earlier.
I'm telling you,
I think both names came up, and I think we said yes to both of those, which is what I think is so. Freddie Freeman was the MVP of the regular season. Yes.
Hey, I got a bold prediction for you.
Oh my God.
This will go with the MVP though. Francisco Lindor wins MVP and leads the Mets to the playoffs. There you go. There's a bold and MVP if you want to be fun. But I think it comes. Listen, I just think the Dodgers have two.
Did you just pick it, or what'd you say? Did you?
It's going to be Ronald Acuna, but I would say a bold prediction would have been Francisco Lindor. And the only reason why I'm not taking the Dodgers, I think when you have too many great players, you take away from each other. You know what I mean? Where Betts could still have 30 home runs and 100 RBIs, but Bellinger could have 35 home runs and you know what I mean? And Justin Turner could have 100. You know, I mean, they got so many players on the team. Corey Seager, who's the World Series MVP, he should be a possible MVP candidate. So I just think it's going to be you're going to be picking between your kids. Like, Joe, what's your favorite kid? Even though I know you have one.
Yeah, I do.
You already know my – what's up, Lil?
Yeah, buddy.
Man.
You already know my NL MVP because I just gave you my bold prediction. So it's Juan Soto. I expect Juan Soto to bounce back. I said it last year, and I'm going to stick to it again. I think this guy is one of the most electric players in all of baseball. I know Tatis is a bit – but I'm going to go with –
You're off the team.
Soto. And I have Juan Soto leading the Nationals to the playoffs as one of the wild card teams.
I also have Juan Soto for MVP. And as I mentioned earlier, I also have the Nationals making the postseason based on the strength of Juan Soto.
You're off the team, Ted. Okay, so we're both on Juan Soto. Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. So let's get into.
And by the way, just so you know, I wrote all my stuff down. This was written well earlier today, so I don't want anyone to think that I'm jumping on anybody's pick.
You want to see what I wrote?
We just keep it in our heads.
Yeah.
I'll remember. So let's get into the AL MVP. Who wins the AL? And I already said it before the show. We should not pick any Yankees because
it's Mike Trout because it's been too long since he won it, and I know baseball wants to rectify that immediately. So it doesn't really matter what he does. Mike Trout wins it.
Absolutely. That's right. Bring back greatness. Bring back the best player in baseball. Mike Trout wins it again. Another 40 home runs, 285. Has 5,000 RBIs, 50 steals. We're rocking and rolling now.
And a 220 batting average with in high leverage situations, in clutch situations. But that's all right. He's still the greatest player of all time.
And I'll go build off of our funny show today. Is if either one of those guys can play 150 games, Judge or Stan should win the MVP. If either one of them can play 150 games, one of those two should win the MVP.
I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'm going to go with Alex Bregman. I think Alex Bregman's going to have a bounce-back year. I do like Alex Bregman. I don't like what he did in the whole situation. I think there's still garbage for that, but I do like the kid as a baseball player.
Literally or figuratively?
He's literally he's literally one of the better players in baseball, and he's one of the favorites to win. I'm gonna go with Alex Bregman of the Houston Astros, shockingly, to win the AL MVP. So let's get into
you mushed him, just like you mushed Soto last year. You mushed him.
Whatever. So then me and Joe will both be mushed because we both. So let's get into the NL Cy Young. I think we should all just agree that it's going to be our guy, Jacob deGrom.
He's been the best pitcher in baseball the last 5 years. It's not even close. Consistently.
5 years? I want to go 5 years.
2016. He's literally been he's been the best pitcher.
Joe, are we all on Jacob deGrom?
No, definitely not. I think Trevor Bauer is going to have a better year than he had last year because he's also going to have run support. I think for this guy to be able to go out there, and I mean, I think you'll see a great first year out of Trevor Bauer, for sure. This guy, I mean, he's in LA. He's got the market he wants. He's got the attention that he wants. He's gonna be flapping his gums. It's going to be a great year for Bauer. I just think this team is so good. He's gonna win 20 games.
Wow.
He will win 20 games, and his ERA will be around 2, and he'll look as dominant as deGrom. But the difference is he'll have the dubs. And it'll be hard to ignore 20 wins to 11 wins. You'll have to, when you look at all of the other numbers, the ERA and the WHIP and all that, you'll have to at the end of the day be like, yeah, but he did win 9 more games. So I know the win, which is literally the whole point of the sport, is an undervalued, over whatever stat. But give me a break.
I'm going to go with Shane Bieber to repeat too. Just like you did with Trevor Bauer. I'm going to go Shane Bieber. He won last year. That man has established himself as one of the best pitchers. I would go Garrett Cole, but as we know, Yankees don't win awards like this because there is that Yankee bias. No matter what people want to say, it's the truth. So I'm going to go with Shane Bieber to repeat as AL Cy Young of the year. Okay?
Yeah, sorry, I was just reading something. I was just looking at some stuff I was just looking at some milestones to think about in baseball this year.
Can you answer the damn question?
It's Garrett Cole, bro.
Oh, wow.
If he's going to be the best pitcher in baseball or the second best pitcher behind deGrom, he should win the Cy Young, right? If we think the Yankees are going to win 100 games, that means he's winning 20 games. That means he's pitching for a full season. That means 150 games out of Judge and Stan. He should win 20 games. The Rays are not as good. Red Sox are not as good. He should win MVP. Cy Young. Why not, right? This is what we paid him for. Cy Young. He pitched really good last season, but it was only 60 games. Let's see what Garrett Cole is going to be in 162 games, right? This is what we bring him in. This is what we pay the big money for. This guy has a chance to win 20-plus games this year. Absolutely. This team is good enough to win 100-plus games. The lineup, as we said, if it could stay somewhat healthy for 80% of the time, all right? You know what I mean? If we can get Gary Sanchez to play in 135 games, and hit 240, okay, I'll take it with 30 home runs. We're going to have Clint Frazier, who in a full season could hit 35 home runs. Glaber, 35 home runs. If Judge and Stanton can play 140 games each, I'll take it. 20 games off, that's fine. A little rest, a little here and there, whatever. Those guys should be MVP candidate, which means Garrett Cole should be winning 3 out of every 4 starts, if not more. He's that damn good.
I had originally written down Shane Bieber, and then I crossed him out. And for all the same reasons Ted just said, I just think Garrett Cole is too good. I think over the course of a full season,
I want to take Cole. That's the thing.
Listen, I don't disagree with you. And the reason I wrote Bieber down in the first place is you're right. The Yankees don't ever get these awards. I think what's going to happen this year is I think now that he's comfortable, he's in a good spot, and because I think Higashioka will be catching him literally within 2 weeks as his personal catcher, I think this guy's going to probably win 20 games. I think he's going to strike out 300 batters or so. I think the numbers are going to be so dominant that it would be really hard for the Baseball Writers Association of America to say it's anybody else. So
plus,
I think Cole.
They're going to be in Yankee Stadium with fans.
Yeah.
It's not going to be pitching in San Diego.
Only thing he needs to do better is try to just get away from giving up the long ball. I know he gives up a lot of long balls at times, but hey, it happens. It's baseball nowadays.
2 solo home run shots I'll take.
Let's get into our division winners quickly, and then our World Series matchup and World Series winner. So first, I got the Yankees winning the East. I got the Twins winning the Central. I got the West. I got the A's winning the West. The wild card teams. I got the White Sox, and I got the Astros.
Yeah. So I'll repeat it really. Yankees East, Twins Central. I got the Astros winning the West. I got the Athletics winning the wild card with the Rays in the East.
I got Yankees winning the East, White Sox Central, Astros West, Blue Jays wild card, Athletics wild card.
Okay. In the NL, I got the Nationals winning. No, you know what? I'm going to go with the Braves. I do say the Braves are the most talented.
Go what you got.
I'm going to go with the Braves. In the Central, I'm going to go with the Cardinals.
Yeah, go with your heart on that one.
Nolan Arenado, my man. Nolan Arenado, Paul Goldschmidt. One of the best quotes of all time. Paul Goldschmidt's going to have 50 home runs, 140 RBIs from Joe, and he completely had it.
I'm surprised that wasn't your bold prediction that Nolan Arenado wins MVP.
No, I didn't do that.
No.
I think the West were all on the Dodgers. And in the wild card, I have the Padres and I have the Nationals.
So you said Braves, Cardinals, Dodgers, and Nationals and Padres. All right, next, you're up, Joe.
I've got
the agreement. That's why.
Oh, good. I've got Braves, Cardinals, Dodgers, and wild cards are Padres, Nationals.
Is
that what you guys said too? Now that I'm reading it, like that is what you guys said. Damn it!
Three of a kind. Now I tell you one thing. I think the Phillies. I think a lot of people are not talking about the Phillies, but I think the Phillies will be much better too this year.
Unless Bryce Harper has to just be Bryce Harper, because I don't know. That's a disappointing team right now.
Well, they got JT Realmuto, the best catcher in baseball.
Can't forget about him.
Best catcher ever, from what I've heard.
So let's close out with our World Series. And let me just cut it before anybody. Are we all in Yankees, Dodgers, or is somebody going different?
I got Yankees, Dodgers.
I got Yankees.
Okay,
Dodgers.
so who do we have winning? Are we all going Yankees?
Yeah, because the Yankees would have beat the Dodgers last year. They beat them the year before. They're going to beat them this year.
Okay, now let's get to a simpler question. How many games?
7.
Very easy.
Best scenario for baseball. It's Game 7 at Dodger Stadium. Yankee Judge hits a walk-off game.
Cole versus Bauer.
Ooh.
Versus Bauer. Sign me the hell up for that
game. And they both don't like each other anyways. Yankees win 2-1. Game 7. Judge hits a walk-off of the night, and Chapman closes it out and does not give up a home run.
What is this, a freaking movie?
The last hit is a warning track power shot that Clint Frazier catches at the wall.
Wow, Frazier.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe the Dodgers win it again in a 7-game. It's a tight one over the Yankees.
If I wasn't a Yankee fan, I would pick the Dodgers. I'll just be honest with you. If
I know that's what I'm. Teddy, that's what I'm doing.
It's so tough to pick the Dodgers, you know. And you're like, I don't really want to pick the Dodgers.
I really want to say the Yankees, and I'm like, well, what if I'm not a Yankees fan and I really evaluate these two teams? I probably, like Teddy just said, I probably say the Dodgers over the Yankees.
This is like, to me, this is like the Lakers playing the Nets this year in the finals. I want the Lakers to win. I think the Lakers can compete, but that team is just so stacked that I see the Nets winning the NBA Finals.
I don't know. Andre Drummond's going to help them big time inside because he's not.
Stop. You sound ridiculous.
Okay,
stop.
Sorry.
It's the greatest team ever. It's the greatest team ever assembled. It's the greatest team ever assembled. Stop.
Okay, I don't want to hear that. Stop. Sorry, it won't happen because LeBron almost beat the Golden State Warriors by himself. I know they got swept, but if you remember that game 1, if Mr. Smith knew what to do with the ball after the rebound.
Okay, they would have lost in 5. Congratulations. Who cares?
Yes, whatever. Listen, LeBron, Anthony Davis. All right.
That's how I kind of feel. That's how I kind of feel with this Yankees Dodgers scenario, because the Dodgers are so stacked. The Yankees are right there, but do you really go against that complete team of the Dodgers? I'm going to stick with the Yankees. I feel like this finally Boone will get over the hump. This team will finally figure it out. Maybe get by the injury bug early on the season, then move on to the postseason. Hopefully, Judge emerge as that big-time star that we're expecting. Glaber, I know it's a lot that we're hoping for, but it's got to come together like 2016 when they played the freaking Astros, right?
Plus, it's hard to repeat. Don't forget that.
Doesn't happen. Hasn't happened since the Yankees, 98
Maybe
Yankees.
not playing in a full season the year before can help them because it wasn't a total grind of only playing 162 and 162. It's only it was 60 games. You know what I mean?
We'll see. I don't know.
So we'll see. But I'll tell you one thing: if the Yankees ain't running away with the division by June or July, they're making a bold move, without a question of a doubt. If it's a big time ace pitcher, or because I don't think
Story. I'm gonna start a hashtag. Trade Trevor Story. Hashtag trade for Trevor Story.
No, you could definitely see the Yankees making a big move.
I want the Yankees to be the New York Rockies because they get all the Rocky players. Mike Troutman, DJ LeMahieu. Who else they got from the Rockies? I don't even know. But
Ottavino.
Well, we did have Ottavino. Now he's a Red Sox.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he went to the Red Sox. That could be that's something to keep an eye on. The bullpen. It's not as strong as it was in past years. We'll see how it.
Don't worry, we got Josh Wilson.
Yeah, we do. But you know what? It is worth noting that the Yankees did grab Darren O'Day, who has been one of the best. I mean, he really is. You got to say, look, if you're going to lose Tommy Kahnle and you're going to pencil somebody in and you want to call it an upgrade, I think you could do that with Darren O'Day. And with him and Chad Green in that bullpen, again, you're going to see some newer faces in that bullpen this year and some different guys stepping up. But
Yankees could put Devi Garcia in the bullpen, just like we were talking about with the Dodgers earlier. Where Price or one of their rookie kids who pitched last season goes in their bullpen and only strengthens their bullpen. So, and Trev,
you know what it is? I think that they expect that Davy's going to end up coming up and starting games sooner than later.
Didn't they say a 6-man rotation? Trev, was you the one that told me the Yankees are going to a 6-man rotation? And I'm not trying to get
loaded,
but whatever. Listen, we're
less than 24 hours away. Baseball season will be underway tomorrow, starting with the New York Yankees taking on the Toronto Blue Jays on ESPN. I cannot wait for it. Well, baseball's back, boys. College basketball is coming to an end. We'll have to talk about that, Ted, before the Final Four weekend. UCLA with the big upset. There's now not even 1% perfect brackets anymore. The UCLA brackets, or UCLA Bruins, are playing the Gonzaga Bulldogs, and Baylor plays Houston. It should be a very interesting Final Four. I can't wait.
Gonzaga will be playing Baylor on Monday night.
And UConn is in the Final Four too, so let's hope for that. But yes, baseball starts tomorrow. I said early on the show, we posted our mock draft 2.0 yesterday. So if you want to check it out, we got a lot of comments on it. A lot of people think we're crazy, but hey, who gives a hoot?
I know.
A mock draft. It's supposed to be.
Yeah, everyone's a friggin'.
Yeah, everybody's no, but if you saw, we did have Penny Sewell drop into the Giants, which would be remarkable. But like I said, we're going to put out one more, or at least two, maybe at most two more, if not just one more before the NFL draft, which starts this month, starting tomorrow. I cannot wait. There's a lot happening. The NBA.
We'll probably put one more out in 2 weeks, and then maybe we'll put out our final one. So maybe we'll do 4.0.
Sounds good. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are streaming on all social media platforms, including Twitch. So you can subscribe, comment, share, or like. Oh boy, I cannot believe baseball's back already. Time is flying, ladies and gentlemen. Time is flying. The boys of summer are back. Everybody, have a great day. We are Keys to the City. We are out.